Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's great to see you here. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. We are here at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you for singing, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you. And then before we jump into announcements, I just wanted to ask you all something. Did you know that today, according to Jennifer Gadbury Hadress, today is the 55th anniversary of the first steps on the moon? Yay, right. And I thought just to get us started here, we don't have all of our people here yet, but just for the folks that came early, why don't you find someone and tell them what you were doing when the moon landing happened? Some of you were not even born yet, so there's that. Yeah. What were you doing? Oh, you told me already. You were hot and sweaty and tired and all that. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Yeah. All right, here we go. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for playing. I am going to go leave the stage for just a moment. Nature calls, sorry. To announce it to everybody. I'm going to pass it over to Susan. Okay, see you later.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. To learn more about the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living, who we are, and all of our activities, please see our website at venturacsl.org. After service in the social hall, we also have a concierge desk where you can ask questions, sign up for our newsletter, classes, and get further information about any of these coming announcements. If you are new to our center, we have ambassadors serving who are wearing teal stoles, and you'll see Mark in the back there, and Charlotte over there. So please talk to them if you have any questions. They also, if you're a newcomer, have a little gift for you. Our July-August outreach is Pack a Backpack for Casa Pacifica. These are for the youth there. And to see how you can get involved, check our website or the concierge desk. We welcome volunteers. Bernie Austin is our volunteer coordinator. You could talk to her or also sign up at the concierge desk. Choir rehearsal for a VCSL Hearts in Harmony is on Sundays, 11:30 to 12:30. Everyone is welcome to participate. The third Wednesday Science and Spirituality Discussion Group is taking the month of August off. And after service today, please join us in hospitality in the social hall to check out our bookstore and our giveaway table. Our hospitality table welcomes your donations of fresh fruit from your garden or vegetables and cookies. So thank you.
Why, hello. Will all of our youth come forward, please? If you don't have spots on your fingers, be sure to get some from one of the youth and family team. Reverend Bonnie, here's your spots. Can you see all these wonderful children? Okay. Want to make sure. All right. In Youth and Family, we've been talking about how to deal with big feelings. One book that we have been reading is A Little Spot of Anger. And we've been talking about different things that might cause you to feel anger, which is a huge emotion. Not a bad emotion, but a big emotion that sometimes can cause us to feel very uncomfortable. Some things that cause us to be angry might be what? What causes you to be angry? I put him right on the spot. It does have its cousins, anxiety and frustration. Do you want to? Okay, I'm going to come down here. Anger. What causes you to be angry? I know if somebody takes something that I want, like the last brownie, I'm feeling it. You know what I mean?
When my sister takes the cat away from me and I get mad.
When someone takes something away from me, and I'm thinking about even from an adult perspective, like a parking spot. Did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. All right. Anything else? Kaya, do you want to talk about something that might cause you to be angry? Feel angry?
When my mama tells that I can't have food, I get mad.
Oh, me too. You mean like no? No, can definitely do it. So, we have learned a little activity that we would like to demonstrate for you this morning. So, I'm going to put my mic back. On our thumbs, we have green, and that is our calm spot. On our 4 fingers, we have red, and that is our uncomfortable feelings of anger. So we are going to see if we can't bring the anger down a little bit just to be more comfortable. And again, I want to make sure that children understand that feeling anger is totally normal. It's totally fine. It's very human. But we just want to modify it so we can get through the day and make the best choices possible. So what we're going to do is that there's a poem that we're going to talk about today. And it is, as soon as I find it, you know I needed to memorize this. Count the spots from 1 to 4. Tap, 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 and tap once more. Then fill your lungs with peaceful air and coat your spots with love and care. So let's do that together. Ready? Count the spots from 1 to 4. Tap, 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 and tap once more. Then fill your lungs with peaceful air and coat your spots with love and care. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have a PS on this, so thank you. Devin has taught the children, I am so calm. If you forget the verse or you forget the rhyme, you can remember, I am so calm. One more time. I am so calm. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have fun. Thank you. Bye. Okay, then. We can use these dots. We can use these dots for our back to school thing that we're doing here. So just talk amongst yourselves while I put my dots back. Okay, here we go. Vicki, beloved Vicki, is going to give us a prayer. Thank you.
Good morning. I am peace and calm. Well, I forgot it, but it's all right.
It works.
Thank you, ministers, reverends, practitioners, for standing here in this loving presence. So be with me, breathing in the absolute knowing that there is one perfect thought, one perfect presence, and this is the presence of peace. This is the presence of calm and love. This is God and what is in each and every one of us. And right here, right now, I am so grateful to know that this thought is thinking through me, as me, and all around me. And I know that if I surround every thought with this knowing, this power of love, with intention, that I can be a light of peace. And I know this for everyone here today. I know that the presence of love and peace is always who we are and where we are. And I give thanks for everyone in this service who brings this peace to us. To Petra, who sings a solo, to the sound crew, to Mary Kerrigan, David, to Karen, to everyone who serves. So imagine with me love and peace and beauty and a world to delight in together. And imagine with me being calm and intentional, and stress, anger, worry, frustration, judgment about ourselves and others is surrounded by this light of love. So knowing this truth and being so blessed and happy that we are always within the light of God, I simply say yes, yes, yes to this. And I release my word of love and intention into God's law of love, knowing that it is already perfect, whole, and complete and done. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank
Amen.
you. Thanks, Vicki. Thank you so much, Vicki. And together we all rest in that awareness, that place of peace and delight, calmness, of trusting and knowing that we are one with God, that we are one with the Spirit and the power and the love that is. And in that consciousness, let us listen to the words of our sacred reading.
Consciousness, Not Conditions, by Alan Cohen, found in 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life by Diane Harmony. One question I am most frequently asked: how do I know if something I am praying for is in my best interest? What if I am imposing my will over God's will? How can I tell if my request is being inspired by love or driven by ego? A rule of thumb that I suggest is to assume that your inspirations are coming from right intuition and act with authority. Once in a while, you will find that you have made a mistake, but in the long run, you will be way ahead of where you would be if you assume that your intuitions are guided by ego and do nothing. The real answer to the question is to understand that what you are seeking is not really conditions, but consciousness. You may be praying for a new BMW, but what you really want is to know that you are an abundant being living in a wealthy universe. You may be seeking a soulmate, but behind your search is the quest to know that you are lovable and cherishable. You may want a #1 hit on the pop charts, but behind that desire is the wish to feel acknowledged and important. You can get conditions, but if you do not have the consciousness, you will be ever seeking and striving for more conditions. If you have the consciousness, however, the conditions will usually manifest automatically. And even if they do not, you will be secure in your wholeness. If you aren't sure if what you are praying for is correct, complete your prayer with this or better. Tell God, that is to say, remind yourself, that you are doing the best you can with what you know. And if there is something more wonderful available, you are willing to give up your current idea for the bigger picture. Remember, God's will for you is perfect happiness. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Hugh, and thank you, everyone, for hearing that so deeply. Let us go even deeper now as we sing together, I Am Remembering Who I Am, trusting and knowing that there is this thing that is unnameable, but we call it I Am, or God, or Spirit, or higher power, or love. Whatever it is the energy of the entire universe. It is the energy of that which is both intimate and infinite. And so today we call forth our remembrance and our knowing of that as we sing together collectively, I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am in the spirit of this divine remembrance, let us celebrate it and breathe in deeply, and then gently open our eyes as love, and in love, and in service to what is, as it is, and so it is. Namaste.
Good morning. This is a song about, well, the words are, God grant us rest, everlasting rest. And it's dedicated to anyone struggling with anxiety, depression, addiction, or other concerns. Thanks for being here. Don't raise your hands. No. Peace, Domini. Sempiternam requiem, sempiternam requiem, sempiternam requiem.
Thank you, Petra. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Today's message is about intentional peace and delight. And if you haven't seen the face of peace and delight, just look at that picture. And I'm not talking about the cat, okay? I'm talking about Miss Carol over there. Right. And, you know, you may be asking, it seems like there's a lot of turmoil going on and probably things that are distressing rather than delightful, but what if all of that is just like waves on the surface of a deep ocean that is truly peaceful and delightful at its core? And you are that ocean. There's a place within each and every one of us that has this sense of unconditional peace and delight. That means that our peace, our inner peace, and that our delight is not affected by conditions. It is unassailable peace and delight within us all the time. And I think the mistake that a lot of folks make is that they think I have to get super riled up and super angry in order to make change. But I believe that real change comes from cultivating our own inner wisdom, our own expression of peace and delight. What a great place you've come to this morning to cultivate that idea of peace and delight. First, we have Petra over there singing about peace. Petra is in her pajamas. Please forgive me. That was the only picture I could find of you. I mean, talk about peace. She wore her pajamas to church one day. She was the only one. No, I'm kidding. We had Pajama Sunday. But again, to say what the song was about, Pie Jesu, it's from the Fore Requiem, merciful Jesus, grant them rest. And how we might translate that in this center is the grace of the Christ consciousness. Grace is like mercy. The grace of the Christ consciousness offers everlasting peace on earth. Everlasting peace on earth, the peace that is unaffected by conditions. Another reason why you've come to a great place this morning, I don't know if anybody noticed this. I was working in Santa Barbara last Sunday. Sorry, I missed you all a lot. But anyway, I came in on Monday night. I worked here on Monday night as well. And I noticed, wow, the church seems different somehow. It's clean. It's clean. There's Karen, a picture of delight. So I would like everybody who worked on Church Appreciation Day to clean up the church. If you could stand up and let us acknowledge you, that would be so awesome. Thank you. Thank you all. And then there's another kind of delight that we get to witness here all of the time, and that is holy delight. Because the reason that I came into work on Monday night was because Mark Lager passed his practitioner panel. Where is he? Stand up. Yeah. If you see Mark after church, go up and read his name tag. It says Mark Lager, practitioner on it. That is Holy Delight, and I even made him a little halo, which looks a lot like a half moon, possibly a yarmulke, or possibly the Pope's hat. But anyway, that's the best I could do with the knowledge I had. So we're in this center right now of peace and delight. How do we cultivate that? How do we cultivate that so we can bring it out to the outside world and express peace and delight in all of our relationships with matter, with other people, at our workplaces, with our families? How do we do that? Well, one of the tools is the 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life. It's a book that we're featuring this month, and it is on sale in the bookstore for priceless pricing. That means you can pay whatever you want for it. And one of the 5 gifts is intention. The first gift, G, is gratitude. The second gift, I, is intention. The third gift, F, is forgiveness. The fourth gift is T for tithing. And the 5th gift is S for surrender. Okay? So today we're working on intention. And today is an intention. This service, your coming here today was an intention, possibly to learn, to grow, to live a better life. But specifically, the intention that I'm holding for this service is to call forth the reality of peace and delight in all of reality, and most especially starting with ourselves. We intend the experience of graceness. Now, I just learned, or relearned the other day, that Ernest Holmes had several books. Ernest Holmes is the founder of this spiritual philosophy, for those who may be new. He had several books on his night table that he would read almost every day. And one of them was by Sri Aurobindo. I don't remember which one it was, but Sri Aurobindo lived around the same time as Ernest Holmes, and he was an Indian mystic. And one of the things that Sri Aurobindo said, I'm paraphrasing because he writes in really, really long sentences, but Sri Aurobindo said, "The world was made for delight." That may be different than what we've heard before, right? The world was made for delight. Another contemporary of Ernest Holmes and Sri Aurobindo is Ramana Maharshi, another Indian mystic, and he said, "The busy mind covers up our natural state of peace and delight." Does anybody here have a busy mind that cultivates your natural state of peace and delight? We don't even need to show our pinkies, just feel free. Yes. Ernest Holmes, our founder, said, "The universe must exist for the self-expression and the delight of God. You and I were born out of a divine urge to create. We are born to create because the great Creator is in us. The great Creator is in us, and we are made for delight." Now, that's actually from a talk of Ernest Holmes, a talk in which he gets a little randy for Ernest. I don't feel so bad about what I say in church sometimes, because Ernest, I'll read you the rest of the quote. He said, "Now, what is the reason for being? I think we exist for the delight of God. Some will say you are here to get saved. That is claptrap, jargon, nonsense, asininity, and confusion. The universe exists not for us to save our souls. Our souls are not lost." I did not know asininity was a word. Ernest Holmes makes up words all the time. But imagine, for those of us that were raised in different kinds of churches, unfortunately I wasn't. I was raised in a very gentle church, but I know a lot of people attending here who were told that you have to go to church or your soul will be damned into eternal damnation hell, right? Did you learn that we are here for delight? That we are here not to be saved, that we are already saved because we were never lost? How beautiful is that? We are here for delight, and we are here to create. Now, there's a catch. Because we are here to create, it means that we have free will, and that we can use to create things that seem against us or destructive, and destructive towards others. Or we can create things that are positive and loving and kind. Will we create peace and delight, or will we create the opposite? Distress, trauma, difficulty. It's up to us. One of the things that we talk a lot about here is that there's absolute reality which contains all possibilities, but there's also this partial relative reality in which we walk all of the time. Generally, I have people touch their elbow and we acknowledge that we are touching our body, but we're not touching our entire body. And that's our relationship with truth. We are touching it's true that we're touching our body, but we're not, it's true that we're touching something that is true for us, but we're not touching the entire truth. There is a much bigger truth that is beyond our imagination that exists for everyone, and that is the truth of peace and delight. Our brains perceive, our sense organs perceive, and then our brains interpret. Our brains are interpreting waves of data, and our brains interpret based on what we think. Our thought, the collection of thoughts, the race consciousness, the collection of thoughts in the human race, they create a relative reality, and we tend to marry that reality and see that there is no greater possibility. We see what we believe. It's not the other way. We don't believe what we see what we believe. Our belief filters our lens through which we look at the world. Here's a little exercise for us to try that. That finger. Okay, what I'd like you to do is to, everybody close your right eye if you can. Either one, I don't care. Close one eye or cover it. And then line up your finger with the V symbol, with the center of the V symbol up there. Oh, y'all are so cute. Looks like we're in a cult. Okay, keep doing it. Okay, sorry. Keep doing it again. Line up your finger. Use the correct finger, okay? Just this one, okay? The pointer, right? Okay, line up your finger and now switch eyes. Close your other eye. It moved. It moved. Who moved my finger? It has to do with perception. So with looking through one eye, you saw that your finger was exactly lined up with that V symbol. And you said, this is the truth. But when you closed your other eye, when you opened your other eye, it moved, or it appeared to move. What if that is like our relationship with reality? We're so committed to this being lined up with what is right, and then we open another eye. We see things a little bit differently, and something shifts. Something shifts. I think the moral of this story is to always be open to greater peace and delight. We may say this situation is not peaceful, this situation is not delightful, but what if we're just looking through one eye? We need both eyes. In fact, we need the third eye to truly see what is going on. To truly see what is going on, and it's usually opportunity to grow deeper in our commitment to the love that expresses through all kinds of spiritual qualities. Our beliefs create a soundtrack that follows us everywhere. Who here has a song running through their head most of the time? Oh, Lord have mercy, yeah. Constant. And I won't even sing some of mine because then you'll all get stuck with it. Earworm. We have to look at our soundtracks and see what kind of soundtrack we're playing. This is Seinfeld. Anybody remember the soundtrack to Seinfeld? It's all the bass stuff, right? They punctuate the comedy with bass, like that, right? Okay. Some of our soundtracks are very dramatic and have a lot of flair, like Indiana Jones, right? Dun, 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 right? Everybody, no, okay, you don't have to. But I think many of us, particularly now, have this soundtrack running through our head. Right? Is it too traumatic to look at that? Because I can take it down if you need me to. Okay, good. Jaws, that something terrible is about to happen, right? And I say that with deep respect for the soundtrack, and one of our former practitioners' father was the bass player on that soundtrack. So I say that with great love and memory for Fred Mondragon, who passed away 3 years ago. But be mindful of what soundtrack we're playing in our heads. You know, if you watch television, you see how much the soundtrack adds to things. I've shared before that I watch like cop shows and FBI shows and that kind of thing. And whenever they're chasing somebody, there's lots of choppy music, lots of strings and drums and whatnot. You know, the soundtrack is our soundtrack of thoughts, and it adds a lot to our heads. And it contributes to our bias. 2 weeks ago when I was here, I put up this symbol that I learned about in jury duty. And they were training us to at least be willing to look at our bias. And they asked us, how many triangles do you see? As I asked the congregation 2 weeks ago, most people will say anything between 2 triangles and 13 triangles, they said. I can't see 13 triangles, but anyway, that's what they said, so I'm going to take it as truth, don't know if it's true. Anyway, between 2 and 13 triangles. And the thing is that a triangle is defined as continuous lines that form a three-form shape. What we do in our minds is that we fill in the blanks. We fill in those lines of triangles. And we're doing that all the time with what we call reality. It is our mind filling in the blanks with what we have learned in the past, our unconscious bias. And we may have an unconscious bias that is the opposite of peace and delight. We may have an unconscious bias towards fear and distress and other things that we don't really want to call into our lives. Unconscious bias, fear, limitation, uncertainty. Now, uncertainty is a fact of life. It's a fact of human life, but we say uncertainty is bad. I should be afraid of uncertainty, and that is the source of a lot of our distress, or the belief in limitation, or the belief in fear as an entity unto itself. We are constantly filling in those lines with what we think. Again, we see what we believe. The source of fear and distress is our thoughts. I had a vivid recollection of this the other day. I was chatting with a friend, and I found out that we had something in common. This friend is another minister. And we both discovered that many years ago, we both fainted from some type of internal hemorrhage. Mine was probably 40 years ago, 35 years ago, and I fainted. And I could hear my body hitting the floor. I was banging into the closet, and I could hear it, and I felt myself falling, and I just sort of rose up out of my body somehow and said, wow, this is interesting. I didn't feel any pain. I didn't feel any distress. I just thought, wow, this is different. Interesting. And my friend confirmed that she had the same experience of thinking, wow, will you look at that? And the way that she reframed it for me is she said that she realized in that moment and after that moment that the source of our fear is not necessarily what happens. The source of our distress is not necessarily what happens. It is our thought about what happens. Because there I was hitting the floor. I should have been all bruised, but I wasn't. Woke up in a puddle of blood and was not distressed about it because I didn't have the fear thoughts about it. Now, I'm not saying that fear is wrong or that it's very useful sometimes. It prevents us from doing things that might be dangerous. But I think the call for all of us today is to look at the places where fear in our lives is getting in the way of a greater expression of peace and delight. Where are we imposing fear and distress on situations that could be other than fear and distress? Situations that could actually be peaceful and delightful. Once we see it, we can heal it. We can make a change. We can align with a higher vibration. We are often unconscious about our projection of fear and distress, but we can move from unconscious projection into conscious intention. And again, that means aligning with a higher vibration. Now, I have the picture of the piano there because we may say, that there is no higher vibration. But what if we're stuck playing C below middle C, and we think that's the only note, because it's the only note we know how to play? And while we're playing C below middle C, there's octaves all the way up here that are just stretched in smiling repose, waiting for us to play them. And I think the same thing is true with the repertoire of vibration. That we may be stuck in a low vibration, in a low energy, and something that calls forth distress and fear in our lives, something that makes us feel afraid and not good. And then there's this whole other level of vibration that is not necessarily higher in terms of height, but just higher in terms of energy, higher in terms of creative power that we can call forth with a simple shift in consciousness. So if you think about a piano keyboard and know that if you're playing down here, those notes up there are still existing, perhaps that will help. What note are you playing? Are you Johnny One Note? Some of you may not know that song. I will refrain from singing it for you. At least today I will. So how do we practice? How do we practice moving into this higher vibration? From the 5 Gifts book, She suggests setting intentions in this way. The first thing is to dream big, to dream beyond your capacity to dream of something so wonderful that you can hardly even believe it, but dream it. That's what Hugh said in the reading, that there is beautiful, beautiful gifts waiting for us to receive them. It is Spirit's pleasure to give us the kingdom of heaven, or the realm of heaven. So dream big. What is it that I really, really want to experience in this life? The next thing is to do. And Diane is very careful about pointing out that it's not going out and making things happen. It is to do the work in consciousness. It is doing the work that we just spoke about noticing when we are out of alignment, noticing when we are functioning at a very low vibration, noticing our fear, noticing our distress, and saying, what if I can see this differently? What is a new way to see this? What is a new way to be with this? And then starting where we are, just start gently applying this. One beautiful way to do that, if we're really resistant to something, we can still ask, what is the gift in this for me? In that voice, what is the gift in this for me? Okay? What is the gift? How could this possibly be for me? How could this possibly be for the soul of humanity? And then live in that place for a while and see what happens. Our hearts open, our minds open, and new possibilities present themselves. If we detach. And that doesn't mean you detach from the dream or from the intention. It means that we don't worry so much about the how. We don't worry so much about how this needs to show up, what it needs to look like. This or something better, as Hugh said in the reading. We don't need to worry about that. We just do the spiritual work inside, and we detach from the specific look of the outcome. Dream, do, detach. Now, sometimes, it was implied in the reading, the name of the reading was Conditions, not Consciousness, not conditions. That we were praying for a change in consciousness. We're not necessarily praying for conditions to change. I got to tell you, sometimes we do pray for conditions to change. There's a story by the same author who wrote the reading that Hugh did about consciousness, not conditions, that wrote about this gentleman. It's an allegory. We don't believe that heaven is a destination, but I'm going to tell this story like it is. This man went up to heaven, and he was chatting with God, and we also don't anthropomorphize God, but we're going to do it for these purposes. He was chatting with God, and God was giving him a guided tour of heaven. Over there are your pearly gates. Over there are your streets of gold, etc. Okay? God walked past this room, and the man said, "What's in that room?" And God said, "Oh, you don't want to see that. It's too distressing." The man said, "How can anything be distressing here in the realm of heaven? How can I be distressed?" God opened the door, and there were all of these beautiful things. There was beautiful electronic equipment that we crave, and there were beautiful flowers and beautiful trees and beautiful nature and beautiful clothing and designer looks, and there was beautiful cars. There was even a Rolls Royce. And the man said, "That was my dream car. How come I didn't get the Rolls Royce?" And God said, "Because you asked for a Ford." No offense to Ford people. I should have said Prius, that's what I drive. And I love my Prius, by the way. And the point of that story is that sometimes we are limited in terms of what we think we can have. What if we could expand that? What if we could expand that and know that the forms that we want, that we can expand them into greater and greater forms? However, because I don't tend to pray for forms, I do occasionally, but I tend to more pray for a change in my consciousness and then trust that what happens will follow as it should. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and then everything shall be added unto you, right? What if we could, if you want to pray for conditions, for things to change in the physical realm and the material realm, absolutely do that. But the most important thing is to cultivate Rolls-Royce consciousness. The consciousness of pure abundance, of pure opulence that can be shared with everyone, that that can bless everyone, that consciousness that gives freely, that consciousness that receives freely, that consciousness that is totally deserving of great peace and great delight, that knows that everybody is deserving of great peace and delight, even if we don't like them. That everyone is deserving of this Spirit of God that is within each of us. That everyone deserves that, to cultivate that Rolls-Royce consciousness. And the way that we do that, again, is to, if you are praying for a particular thing, know that it's a symbol. The object is a symbol for what? It said it in the reading. An object might be a symbol for greater understanding, for greater peace, for greater joy, for greater freedom, for greater delight. Intend the spirit behind the symbol. Just trust, if we're praying for greater joy, that we are going to call forth that greater joy, and we practice it a lot now. What I find with myself sometimes is I'm praying for something big, and it's almost like I say, I will pray for that once I get it, or once there's a clue that I'm going to get it, right? That's not what we're called to do. We're called to look past appearances and to go within and pray for the Spirit of the One right now, inhabiting us as we are in whatever circumstances we inhabit. Dream, do, detach. I had an experience of this recently. I am troubled by conflict. I don't like it. I confess that. And I have to struggle with it because I know that that's probably one of the greatest areas of my spiritual work. And in some of the conflict that's going on in the media, on Facebook, God bless its soul, I see all of this conflict and people moving into this place of hatred for one another. And I've discovered I have pressure on me to take one side or the other, but I've decided that my role in life is to work with reconciliation and alleviating the suffering of others. That's my calling, at least it is right now. Reconciliation and alleviating the suffering of myself and others. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, it's very sweet. Thank you. Thank you for hearing that. One of the best ways that I know to alleviate suffering in myself and others is, no surprise here, small acts of kindness. Small acts of kindness, which we talk about almost every Sunday here. And I decided to add a twist to the small acts of kindness business because I've noticed, and I'm curious if anybody else notices this, is that sometimes I will have the inspiration to do a small act of kindness, and then I talk myself out of it. Anybody do that ever? Yeah, okay, show of hands, okay. Show up, I see some pinkies too, all right. Show up pinkies, yeah. And so I decided, this is one of our practitioners says, go with the first impulse. Go with the first impulse for kindness. Go with the first impulse. So I decided, okay, I'm going to take a moment to evaluate, but I am going to do my best to go with my first impulse for kindness. And I've been doing that, and it is super fun. So far, no disasters, but it's, whatever. Even if there's a disaster, then it'll be for my growth and understanding. And I've noticed some of the ways that I talk myself out of kindness, like, oh, that feels really ridiculous. You're a shy person. You don't want to approach that person. You don't want to do that. Oh, that costs too much. Another one, All of those things that we do to talk ourselves out of what our soul is calling us to do. And yours may not be kindness, but it may be something else, and perhaps your soul is calling you for something, and something is talking you out of it. So I've looked at all of that. I've looked at all of my excuses, and then I just asked God to help me through it. One of the things that I did recently, in fact, on my way up to Santa Barbara where I spoke last week, was I went to a coffee shop to get my iced tea, my signature iced tea that I get just about every Sunday. I'm allowed one a week. And I was coming out of the restaurant, a young man about 10 was coming in, a young boy about 10 was coming in, and he had this very chaotic energy, and I was wearing sandals, and I thought, he's going to step on my toe, and I don't want that to happen. So I stepped back just a little bit, and the chaos stopped, and he opened the door for me with such grace, and he waited for me to come through. I thanked him profusely, and then I had the thought, you know which car his mother's in. You should go talk to his mother and tell her thank you. I didn't want to. I know, you're like, why? I didn't want to. Well, I'm shy. Maybe you're not shy. I didn't want to. You know what? Part of it was I didn't want that look on her face where this, fancy dressed woman is coming up, and it looks like when I call people into my office, they go, what did I do? I didn't want that look on her face, and I did go up to the car, and she did get that. She did give me that face. But that was not the end of the story. I just told her, your son was so sweet. He opened the door for me, and he didn't have to, and he was just so gracious about it. Wow, you must be doing something right in your house. And I'll tell you what, that look of what does this woman want from me turned into this beam. And it was one of those things where the whole car filled with light. If your eye is single, your whole being, your whole car is filled with light. And I was so glad that I did it, because it's a week later and I'm still talking about it. What else? How else will we be called to express the spiritual quality behind the symbols of what it is that we really want? Just be clear what it is. Is it peace? Is it joy? Is it delight? Is it kindness? Is it any of those things? And then if we can, look at that urge to stop ourselves and then move through it and see what happens. Again, part of the greatness of the center is that we have already experienced what I'm talking about today. We have experienced peace through our pajama-wearing friend over there, Petra. We have experienced delight in this beautiful sanctuary that we co-create, and all of the wonderful volunteers that have come together to make this happen. Not only the beauty of the sanctuary, but the beauty of this spiritual center. We have experienced holy delight as we celebrate Mark's beautiful transition into sainthood and practitioner. And so from that same, so today in that spirit, behold your divine appointment with a community of peace and delight. You are here for a sacred reason. You are here to support the growth of these qualities here in this world that sometimes seems so stressful and so troubled. We are here to honor that divine appointment with a community of peace and delight, so that we may take that peace and delight and ripple it everywhere. Because ripples are real, according to one of our practitioners. Ripples are real. Ripples count much more than anything else that we can do. They are real. Ripples are real. Did I say it enough times? Ripples are real. Everybody, ripples are real. So, in the spirit of that, let's read together this quote from Ernest Holmes in the same very speech where he said asininity. Let us read this quote together. And I put it up here. Here we go. We turn to the great heart of love in and around us and recognize the divine nature of our own being. We look at each other and behold there the living presence, love, friendship, joy, delight, and peace forever and forevermore. Look at somebody and say, I behold the peace in you. Y'all, that was not very enthusiastic. Let's say it really loudly. I behold the peace in you. I behold the delight in you. And so it is. All right, let's thank y'all. Thanks. All right, so let us do a prayer of knowing and trusting that there is one life. That life is God's life. That life is in all things. It is in each of us, expressing as us. It is the one, the wonder, the joy, the peace, the delight, all of those things and so much more. Today we have unified with that presence, and we trust it and know it to be exactly who we are. How wonderful it is to live from that place of knowing, to live from that place of confidence, of being with God, being with the one, and trusting that this presence is always available, always available. And so we raise our vibration up. We raise to accept it and receive it and know that we are so deserving. And as we are deserving, others are deserving too. And so today we go forth with this deeper knowing of peace and delight, knowing that it is unconditional, knowing that we call it forth through our consciousness, and knowing that our intentions, no matter what they are held with such grace and such tenderness by the wholeness of the universe that is God. And so I am grateful, so grateful for this spiritual teaching, so grateful for these truths, so grateful for this beautiful, beautiful community that shows up with such love and tenderness. I bless this teaching as I bless all paths to God, churches, synagogues, mosques, ashrams, temples, gurdwaras, fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics. I bless everyone, for everyone is a blessing. And with a heart that is so filled with blessedness, I say thank you, Spirit. Thank you, love. And I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Lonnie.
Hi.
First thing I have to say is I am so envious of you because you get to look out every Sunday morning at all these beautiful, loving faces.
Good stuff, yeah, good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I just am reminded of how blessed we are to be able to come together every Sunday in this sanctuary to be reminded of abundance, the abundance that's in our lives always, of love, of kindness, of whatever. And then we get an opportunity to further that through the practice of tithing or giving or understanding that when we give, we receive back. So with that, I'd like to start with our prayer.
Yes,
Okay.
here we go.
We trust in spirit. Love is the giver and receiver of all that we are. We offer these gifts as
They
an
are an
outer expression of our inner abundance and compassion. Our gifts bless many and return to us multiplied in miraculous ways, so that we may give again. And so it is.